Good afternoon and welcome to Stock Market Today. On the show, we're going to be taking a look at UnitedHealth, Anthem, Ciena, and more. But first, let's take a look at the major indexes. It's Alyssa Corum here with Ken Shreve, and we did see a nice day across the board. It looked like to start, the Dow led the gains here, but it looked like we pivoted a little bit lower here by the end of the day. The Nasdaq closing down ever so slightly, but it looks like Dow stocks really led the day.
Yeah, no question about it. UnitedHealth was probably the top percentage gainer in the Dow Jones today. Goldman Sachs, we're going to hear from them next week with earnings, as well as a slew of other financial stocks. So it was definitely a day of blue chip leadership. A lot of these managed care firms like UnitedHealth were strong after the President Trump, the White House dropped that prescription drug rebate rule that it was going to apply to the pharmacy benefit managers. So healthcare stocks outperforming, but it was definitely a day for the Dow for sure.
Yeah, and we will get to a few of those individual names in a minute, but quickly looking at the Nasdaq here, we're still trading near all-time highs after hitting that level yesterday, so the uptrend still very much intact.
Yeah, I mean, holding comfortably above the 8,000 level. I just mentioned the Dow crossing 27,000, so just a modest gain for the S&P 500 as well. So really it was a day, like I said, for blue chip stocks, but we are still very much in a confirmed uptrend here, and a lot of good looking charts out there.
Yeah, well, speaking of those healthcare stocks, we do want to take a look at UnitedHealth, which exploded some 6% higher today in heavy volume, retaking a key technical level on this ruling, or I guess the taking away this ruling by the Trump administration for those rebates.
Yeah, so a lot of managed care firms like UnitedHealth and Cigna and Anthem, they have pharmacy benefit management services as part of their business. They've been acquiring. Cigna acquired Express Scripts a while back, so they were all very sharply higher today. And UnitedHealth, you can see just a good visual of what just a strong move above the 200-day moving average here. It had been in a downtrend for quite a while. It was not a technically healthy stock ahead of today's news, but a bullish move today. I'm sure some aggressive traders probably bought the stock on the strong move above the 200-day. It'd be an aggressive entry because the stock is still about 9% off its high, still has some overhead supply to work through, but anytime a stock can move powerfully above the 200-day line like that, there's a lot of buying demand for sure.
Yeah, and we do have earnings on the horizon for UnitedHealth, so we'll have to see if it can continue climbing higher. But next on our list, we want to take a look at Anthem. The ticker there is ANTM, and same story here, a big gain for the stock, but this one breaking out of a little bit nicer of a pattern when you compare it to UnitedHealth.
Probably a healthier chart than UnitedHealth at this point, but Anthem was actually a pretty crystal clear breakout. Not much debate about where the buy point was here. For Anthem, it was 294.95. The stock is still within buy range. It closed nicely above the 300 level, and you can see the breakout and the stock's recent high of 294.85. So we add 10 cents to that recent high. Good breakout. Stocks still in buy range, and another strong mover in the healthcare space. Same industry group as UnitedHealth.
Yeah, it's always good to focus on stocks and groups that are moving on news, and we do have that relative strength line hitting a short-term high, so that's positive to see as well. But elsewhere, we want to follow up with our discussion of Delta Airlines, which we mentioned the other day heading into earnings, and it was able to gain a little over 1% in heavy volume on those results. It did pre-announce, but guidance better than expected. A pretty good outlook.
Well, it was a really solid report in the first quarter when they reported 3 months ago, and they gave bullish guidance, and then they just reported another really strong quarter today. Nice earnings beat, and this is a stock that had been kind of trading pretty close to a 59.09 buy point. Stock crossed the 60 level today, closed off its highs, but closed above the buy point. So you really have two airline stocks that are working right now, United and Delta. A lot of the others are still kind of stuck, not really acting that well price-wise. So Delta, United, the two stocks to watch in the group, and really good numbers from Delta.
Yeah, trading in that buy range. So we'll keep tabs on if it can continue to rise and extend those gains. And last but not least, we want to take a look at Ciena, which not too long ago gapped up. So this is a good example of checking in on a stock. After we see these powerful gap ups, we want to see those stocks hold their gains and not fill the gap.
Absolutely, and Ciena's been doing just that. This is sort of a turnaround story. We've talked about Ciena off and on in the past, but definitely like the stock's price action after the earnings gap up that you can see on the chart there. After it gapped up, it crossed over $45, and then it just started to move sideways. It was a pretty contained pullback, so we actually put this one on the leaderboard watch list today because we think there's a chance this could try to make a move over its recent high. I think it was 46.23, so we would add 10 cents to that area, 46.33, and see if it can take out that recent high. But good fundamental story at Ciena. They do hardware and software, basically help moving large amounts of data over networks. And again, the earnings turnaround started last year for this company. Good sales growth in recent quarters, so we still like the fundamental story at Ciena.
Yeah, those fundamentals are important, and it's nice to see stocks with strong fundamentals forming new base patterns because we're no longer in the early days of a brand new uptrend.
Yeah, exactly.
So there are a lot of other stocks that are extended, but now some new bases starting to be formed.
Yeah, and there's a certain way that you want to see a stock act after it gaps up in price, and I would say the price action in Ciena has been pretty darn good after really an explosive move on its last earnings report. So earnings season is going to really kick into high gear next week with a lot of earnings reports. So
definitely,
we'll see what results eventually. I don't have an earnings date yet for Ciena, but we'll probably see another strong quarter from them the next time they report.
Yeah, we just might. And for more on earnings gaps, actually next week's podcast, Investing with IBD, will be touching on stocks that look like they may be setting up heading into earnings and what to do if they gap up. So make sure you are going to investors.com/podcast to stay tuned for that. But we have this week's episode just dropped today, so you can go find that out. This week we had Tom O'Halloran, portfolio manager at Lord Abbett, talking all about the technology revolution and how we actually are still in the very early stages, and there's lots of opportunities for growth investors out there.
There sure are, and we cover a lot of these growth stocks every day. And at investors.com, you'll just find all sorts of coverage on newer companies that may not be getting a lot of attention, but great fundamentals, new product, great management team. So these are the stocks that you want to focus on because getting those in the early stages of a move can be pretty exciting.
And that coverage you mentioned also at times ends up in all of our newsletters. We have quite a few newsletters now, so you can go to investors.com/newsletters to sign up for free to get whichever newsletter speaks to you in your inbox, whether it's a daily one that we have several daily ones and weekly ones as well.
Easy sign up, quick, worth doing.
Yes, that it is. All right, everyone, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you right back here tomorrow.